Thanks so much. So I want to thank Tupten Center for hosting, Patty, Cecilia, everyone who's been a part of this center that's making this possible. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of you. It's wonderful to be here. This is class 6 of 7. And as far as I know, if I continue to live another week, I think the 7th class is in Florida. And it'll be in person with some of you. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. Really excited about that. So just as a review, and I started talking about the homework, was the meditation on the 7-point cause and effect. And we were talking about the mind and how we can create the external reality. And I also wanted to ask about any noticing this week of judgments, criticisms, any expectations you have as you're working with equanimity. Did you notice that there's people that you have what I would call that you bring kind of into the light, and there's people you choose not to see, kind of in the shadow in your lives, where we don't have the equanimous mind with people? Anybody notice or have any experiences, anything they want to share thinking about it this week? Did you have any disappointments? What was going on? Was I layering too much of a projection onto somebody that I was expecting something? Anything people have been working with this week?
Yeah, I can talk now because they left. Basically, okay. Sorry, didn't mean to do that while you were drinking something, but sometimes I feel like I am a magnet for extremely difficult people. And,
oh wait, can I just interject? Can I interject, Jack? Yeah. Sorry, he's the only one, right? Jack is the only one that experiences that, right?
No. Absolutely. You don't win the prize today.
Jack, I have a feeling there's a lot of people in that boat with you. But here's something else to watch. Here's something else to watch with your mind. Something like this goes on, and Jack, you're not alone. We all do this, and we're kind of like, I'm the only one that's experiencing this. I'm the only one that experiences this delusion. I'm the only person that ever suffered with attachment. I'm really like, so first of all, let's just think about humankind. In samsara, if you have an ordinary mind, we're all in the same boat. That's where I even start my equanimity. Like I might get kind of going like, oh, nobody likes me. I just had a really interesting set of emails with my kind of cohort here at Land of Medicine Buddha, who's male, about my role in a leadership capacity here, right? It's so interesting. And this is like my dear brother. I mean, we get on really well and there's no problem, but pointing something out and just kind of look, and then you suddenly feel like, oh, I'm the only one that's kind of messing up. And I'm like, oh, we're all in this boat together. So we're all in that boat with you, Jack. Please continue.
Oh, anyways, no, it's just, I think I succeeded a little because I managed to not say anything other than,
fantastic.
Please, just leave me alone. And no, this is a person that gets, that we've allowed to move in with us, that gets angry at the drop of a hat. But I think what it is I think it's an opportunity to practice patience, but I fail an awful lot. So
right. Well, the thing is to accommodate somebody like that, and knowing that is a very nice act of generosity. So why not also look at the positive, where that's a great act of generosity? It's a great stretch to accommodate someone like that, rather than just looking at, I fail at patience. Because the fact that you just said, I didn't say anything with my speech, is that what you said? Why not celebrate that? That's pretty cool, frankly. Yeah. I think it's pretty cool that, first of all, you're accommodating this person. They have anger issues or whatever, they're difficult. Then you were able to refrain your speech. That's 2 things. Oh, did you have a little lapse of patience now and then? But I've got 2 positives here and 1, okay, I'm working on it. I think you're doing pretty well, I'd say.
I am working on it. I hope so.
Yeah, but here's the thing again, and this happens in every class, is can we find a way to better balance that? Why are we always getting down on ourselves again and again and again? All I see is the negative. All I see is the negative. You know, I caught myself today with the emails where I saw this one email from about, a couple things they misinterpreted, whatever, or what they thought I meant and all that. And I just noticed I took it in and was like, okay. And then I could see a little bit of the eight worldly Dharma of reputation come in. And then that went because I'm like, I'm not doing this for the Amy show. This center, I have the least investment like that of any. I'm just kind of here for LMB and sentient beings. I'm really clear. So is everybody else. So, and then I kind of, that all deflected. And then I thought, I'm doing the best I can right now. I seriously am. So I was like, nothing more I can do, but I welcome the input. And I want to look at that and address it, which I did, and kind of went, okay, let me think about, so now we're having a dialogue, which is an interesting dialogue because they're learning as well about sexism and things like that, which is helpful. So again, but it's also coming from me more balanced and I'm okay. And I'm also muddling along, but I'm doing the best I can, but I'm not going to overly focus on my mistakes, on what's not happening, but I will look at that if somebody feeds back to me but I'm going to look at it in a loving, gentle way at myself. Because that's how I want to be with others too. I want to look at them in a loving, gentle way. So it has to start here. It has to start here. So that means, Jack, today and this week, some rejoicing at, well, I did offer them accommodation, knowing they were challenging. And I was able to refrain my speech at times. That's great. I rejoice. But you have to rejoice, right? And I'm working on the stuff that didn't go so well. Well, you're working on it. Can't do more than that. That's great. Okay. So please, if you can all try that rebalancing, it's really essential. So thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Okay, I want to talk about and one other thing. I continue to do this. I love this exercise is reflecting on. I asked you to reflect on the kindness of others because that's part of the 7-point cause. The kindness of your mother is one of the meditations, one of the points, or the kindness of mother sentient beings. And especially if you're in a bad mood and you go out and you have to go to the store or you're interacting with anyone, like make a real effort is I'm going to go out now to only focus on the kindness of beings. Everybody I see, whether they're driving next to me, whether they're in the supermarket, whether they're walking down the street, the person in front of me in line, or I'm in this waiting room, whatever, can I just spend some exercises focusing on the kindness, especially in a stressful thing. Like I just noticed with, you're working at a center. Some of you know this because you've been involved with Thupten Kunga Center for a long time, maybe another center, and there's challenges, right? I know that knowing some of you, you've been through some challenges, right? And what happens is those challenges, you retreat back to your home and then you start layering stories sometimes of the negative aspects of people, right? Which entrenches them more in a negative aspect. So again, like here we are, and I'm kind of as the chair of the board trying to make sure we come back to kindness. Like, well, but let's focus on this person, how well they did with that when a couple other people are criticizing it. I'm like, I know we need to work on that. However, there's these positive qualities, and there's always positive qualities. It's always positive qualities. You could find positive qualities about Vladimir Putin. Seriously, right? So we're not seeing a lot of them right now, but one, I would even say persistence, which persistence has a positive aspect when it's directed in the right way, right? I know some people that are not persistent when it would be helpful if they did follow through with something. So think about, you can continue those kindnesses. I find them really helpful. So moving on from And just as a review, we've been talking about presenting the path goes through the preciousness of having a human rebirth. The situation's quickly passing away. We are soon going to die. When we do, we could end up in a less fortunate experience that could add tremendous suffering. So may that motivate us to take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, a proper refuge once we're more familiar with those qualities, and then learn how to conduct ourselves through karma, understanding what we can about karma, and practicing the 10 virtues and avoiding non-virtuous behavior. And all along, it can be helpful for us to find a qualified teacher or teachers that we can study with, ask advice, put that advice into practice like that. And the main part is coming into the scope, and that's all the lower scope motivation of a lower capable being in the Lamrim. Moving into, there's a lot of suffering now of the scope for the medium capable being who's very motivated to end their own suffering. So built on the first motivation, I'm terrified things could be worse, but I actually would really like the suffering that I'm experiencing right now on planet Earth to end. I'm not happy with this. So they will explore the various sufferings and come about bringing about an end to that suffering by reaching nirvana or liberation, which is a permanent cessation of all your mental afflictions. And then we move into the scope for the higher capable being, which involves bodhicitta, and also the right view and meditative stabilization and things like that, which also are related to the second scope. So we started talking about the 7-point cause and effect method is one method to develop that which came from Master Serlingpa, from the Buddha originally. The second method was more secret from Master Shantideva, called Equalizing and Exchanging Self with Others. So this involves first reflection on the disadvantages of cherishing yourself and the advantages of cherishing others, and then really talking about an attitude that exchanges self with others and practicing Tonglen, giving and taking. And we'll do a meditation on that in a little bit. Giving and taking, where you're taking the suffering of others, using it to whittle down your self-cherishing as you offer them all your peace, happiness, offer them all the goodness that you've ever experienced. So mounted on the breath, often in a meditation, I'm taking the suffering, offering them happiness, Tonglen, which results again in bodhicitta, that enlightened attitude. So I just want to review and just explore a little bit of what's the problem with the self-cherishing thought. Now, we experience this a lot through the day. It's me, myself, and I want this. I have a certain thing that I want to have happen that, it's so, this is what they traditionally say about the self-cherishing thought. Now, I'm not talking about self-compassion. Okay? We need self-compassion to practice this path. We need to have a healthy, balanced mind to practice Dharma, seriously. Lama Yeshe used to say, the Dharma centers, they're not mental health facilities, and you really need a balanced consciousness to practice Dharma well. You can't be crazy to practice Dharma. It doesn't really work that well. But I'm talking about a self-cherishing where it's all about me. Self-absorption, selfishness is different than basic taking care of yourself in a balanced way. The self-cherishing, and here's what they say, it's kept me locked into samsara lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. Okay, creates that cause. It keeps me addicted to ignorance and continuously obsessed by countless problems over and over. And think about your own life. You can reflect a little bit, because in samsara, it will always be something. It will always be something. And I notice that again and again, whether it's individuals, whether it is Dharma centers now, because I'm involved in a Dharma community again, over and over. And you have to ask yourself this, how often are you trying to fix samsara? How often, seriously, are you trying to fix samsara? Meaning you feel like, and I hear people say this, as soon as I get the new job, everything's going to be okay. As soon as I sort that health issue, it's not a major chronic thing, but I've got to get those appointments, get that done, everything's going to be okay. As soon as my partner takes care of the da 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 da, everything's going to be okay. And isn't it interesting? Another thing pops up. There'll be another worry, another concern, another fear, another piece of confusion comes in. That's samsara. Okay? It's unfixable. Okay? But what you can do is you can train your mind in a way, develop your mind that gets your mind out of samsara. So you can't fix samsara, you fix your mind. And you can actually bring about an end to that experience for your consciousness. Possible for every single one of us. But it takes effort, but we can do it. So the self-cherishing thought, again, it prevents me many, many times from reaching enlightenment. It prevents any realizations for me in the path. It prevents me at times from really understanding and practicing Dharma. And sometimes it doesn't even let me enjoy temporal happiness, right? The ordinary stuff. And it continually destroys positive stuff I've done, right? And destroys me again in countless births that are coming, countless lives that are coming like that. So over and over and over, right? And what Lama Zopa Rinpoche says is that this is hard. We should use every problem. We should use every problem as a weapon to destroy the self-cherishing thought. Think about it. We don't want weapons to harm other people. I talk about becoming a bodhisattva warrior, but you're not going to war with people. You're not going to war with objects or buildings or blowing anything up. It's just my self-cherishing thought. And as they say in the famous Master Atisha's famous mind training slogans, Lojong slogans, place all the blame on one. The one is a self-cherishing thought. That's how negative, that's how destructive it is. So when you have a problem, and again, this takes a lot of practice. I understand it takes training. But for instance, I'm just picking on Jack because he was so great to mention what he was going through. You have a challenging person that comes into your life. Sometimes we've allowed them to come in. Like he said, he offered accommodation. Well, good for you. Honestly, that's a great practice of generosity. So you've got a challenging person, and in samsara, they're always going to be there. They will always be there. They will always be showing up. As soon as you fix one and fix a situation with one, there's another one. It's incredible. And I watch at this center, I'm fascinated. Land of Medicine Buddha, everybody where I'm involved with is, I think, a great person, frankly. Unbelievable, working so hard. I'm so impressed with this whole team of people. They're really quite amazing. Do we have issues at times? Of course, because it's samsara. So I just watch alliances shift. Like suddenly these two people, were at war at one point. Not at war, but they were disagreeing. Then we're at the next meeting and they're hugging each other. And then this person, this is samsara, this is how it goes. Like these people are great. And then I see an alliance, suddenly these three people are together on this thing against this person. And and I know it's always changing. So I never get that involved of like, oh, we got to fix this, because by the next week it'll be different. Just samsara is like that. So you always have somebody that pops up. So can I find a way of noticing, what's my self-cherishing say? Like, I want peace in my house. I want them to go away. Like, I look at this other person as the enemy. What about my self-cherishing thought? How's that working? Now, it doesn't mean you don't set limits with a difficult person. Bodhisattvas set healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries. They communicate clearly about those boundaries. Okay. But this is Lama Zopa Rinpoche again. We should give every problem given to us by the self-cherishing thought back to our self-cherishing thought in order to destroy this enemy that constantly harms us. So again, we should give every problem that is given to us by the self-cherishing thought, give it back to the self-cherishing thought, to our self-cherishing thought, in order to destroy this enemy that constantly harms us. That's something to think about, of how difficult that self-cherishing is. Now, here's the advantages of cherishing others. This is the next step in equalizing and exchanging self with others. The next step. Every goodness comes from cherishing others. Every goodness cherishes other, is from cherishing others. So here's what they say traditionally about cherishing others, okay? Is and you can almost say the opposite of what we're talking about with self-cherishing is what we realize. All the good things happen. You develop another good life again, get another great life to go around to practice these 6 perfections. You have all good realizations can come to fruition. You have every perfect example, every perfect way to practice Dharma. Many realizations come, many abilities to choose virtue over non-virtue, over and over. So you can imagine all the good things, material things will come. You'll have ability to practice Dharma. I've seen people that it's just karma you have to see is when I'm on retreat, if I'm doing a longer retreat, and I've granted worked at some retreat centers. So I've created some cause. If I did it with a good intention and a good heart, is I've supported people in retreat, some of them long-term retreat. So sometimes I've gone on retreat and people would make offerings to me to help with the expenses and the food. And I'm always so touched. I'm always like, it's such an incredible thing to make an offering to, or even to a nun or things like that. It's very kind, right? But it really just comes from that of wanting to help others in retreat, right? I even make care boxes now. I have some friends in long retreat, like 3-year retreat, different places in the country. And every once in a while, I pack up a package to them. I ask them before they went in retreat, what do you like? What's good for you in retreat? Because some are like, I don't want sugar. I like beeswax candles. They all have different things, right? And so I have their little list saved in my computer. Every once in a while, get a box from the post office, and I go to the store and I just pack up, because when you're in long retreat, you're not doing emails. Sometimes you're not, and you feel sometimes like you're out there and people forget you and you're like, what am I doing this for? And it can be really, really hard work to be alone with your mind for that long. So it's a really neat thing. And then that will come back to you 100-fold, those kind of things. Unbelievable, again and again. All the food you have, all your clothes, all your shelter, it comes from cherishing others. Over and over and over. All the causes of your happiness come from cherishing others like that. So then we come to the exchange. And again, this is an attitude. This is an attitude. On the basis of understanding the faults of self-cherishing and the great benefits of cherishing others, we undertake a practice of actually exchanging self for others. What does this mean? What does this mean? Okay, I want you to just close your eyes for a moment. I just want you to reflect on this. Up to now, I have always regarded myself as most important and precious. I've often neglected others and put my own interests and welfare first. So now I'd like to regard others as most important and precious and put their interests, their welfare first. You just want to think about that. Imagine right now, as if you're in a room. And here we have our Zoom room. So you got 14 other people in that room with you. If you want to have something smaller, imagine you're in a room with 7 people. And even in the Zoom room, did you ever notice, some of you may have this, maybe not everyone, but you're the most important person here. You want to be noticed. You want to make sure your comment is the best one. Your question is the best one. Just notice sometimes that coming up for you in a certain sense. Some of you may have it more than others. Certainly, I understand that. So again, exchanging self with others, it's not that we become others. It's not that we are others. It's simply this attitude. We're trying to think about your day. What percentage of your day is spent focused on yourself and your needs and what you want? Just assess and be honest with yourself. What percentage of your day? Could I borrow from that percentage, even half of that percentage? Half of that time I spent focused on myself. Could I try to think about, first of all, the people in our Zoom room? I wonder what their experience is. People in your household, people in your apartment block, on your street, people you drive by tomorrow. Could I just think about them as I'm going through space? People in the store I'm walking into, the people in my office. So please relax. Just slowly open your eyes. As a Bodhisattva warrior, this is our practice every single moment, seriously, every day. If you're on the Mahayana Buddhist path, which is this path, right, it's all about cherishing others. And this is really hard work. Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, exchanging self for others is a brave practice. Far more important, he says, than visualizing light coming from healing deities or other meditations like that. That's what Rinpoche says. Far more important for healing, Rinpoche says, but incredibly brave to do it. If ever, even if you just for a moment, you get out of your car, you go into the store and you suddenly have that flash. And I've done this exercise several times. I told some of you, again, it's the internal dismantlement of delusion. And I think I explained to some of you last year, if you were in a class, I did this retreat in Pennsylvania at my parents' home about 6 weeks. But when I came out, I spent a lot of time with bodhicitta meditation. So I came out and I happened to go to the supermarket to get food. And I mentioned there's 2 in my neighborhood, but I went to the one that isn't as good as the other one. And they often don't have some of the food I want. Certain products are always out of them. You can never find anybody there to ask. And if you do find somebody, they're never willing to go in the back to check. And they usually say, I don't know if we have any more. If it's not out, we don't have it. That's been my experience. Somehow I'm in the store. But from doing all this bodhicitta meditation, seriously, it must have had an effect. I go out in the store. And what happens is I go into the store to these 3 places where they did not have these items that I wanted, right? It's no big deal, just, food items, nothing, the store's full of food, so it's not a problem. But I go in and I come to the first place, they didn't have the thing. And right there is a salesperson, is somebody that works in the store. Like right, normally I can never find anybody. There's somebody right there. But what I did is, as I looked over at them, this is what actually happened for me was, instead of just going over and interrupting them, I kind of saw, well, they're unpacking boxes. I wonder, they look kind of busy. Maybe I'll just wait. And I just kind of took a couple steps in their direction, but I wasn't even that close. And somehow they looked up in my direction. And they looked up and they looked kind of kind and nice. And then I smiled and I said, hi. And then they said, can I help you? I never had that happen in that store before. So this is really your internal dismantlement of, and then right away I explained, but I had no expectation because I said, it looks like you're really busy. I'm just wondering, would you have any? Oh, let me go check. I was floored. I was like, okay. And they came back with a box of the thing I wanted. Never had that happen in the store. It happened 2 more times in that store during that visit. Different parts of the store. It was a big store, supermarket. Other parts of the store, there's a salesperson right there. Can I help you? So I walked out of the store. I think I told some of you this. I walk out, I'm in the parking lot going back to the car. I look around. Here's my thought process. This bodhicitta stuff, I think it works, right? Obviously, it felt for me, it inspired me about the meditation. This Dharma really works, but it takes a lot of effort to apply it, So we have to keep on. We just keep trying. Absolutely. It really, really does work. From His Holiness the Dalai Lama, not only is your own happiness and suffering related to others, but the more you help them, the happier you will be. The more you harm or neglect them, the more miserable you will be. Therefore, sacrificing your own interests for the sake of the majority is the most intelligent approach from His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So the next step we would work on in this process is Tonglen. Tonglen, taking and giving, taking and giving. So this is an attitude of exchanging self for others, okay? Enhanced by doing Tonglen meditation. Okay, now people say, well, I don't want to take others' suffering. I don't want to get somebody's cancer. At our level, we don't get that kind of thing. But what we're using it for, what we're practicing, what we're trying to build in our consciousness is I'm using it to destroy my self-cherishing only. I'm going to place that self-cherishing. We're going to do this meditation now. I'm going to place that self-cherishing as a constricted knot in the center of my being right now, like at the heart center. Imagine a constricted knot of all of your selfishness and self-absorption. That. You can just close your eyes. Just allow the mind to settle on the breath for a moment. And people also feel like, I don't want to give away myself, my happiness. I want happiness. You will have more happiness if you can find more and more familiarity with this very, very profound practice, Tonglen. So imagine now, if you'd like, and you can even do Tonglen with yourself, placing an image of yourself in the space in front of you. We always skip that part, but we need help ourselves. Just imagine a replica of yourself seated across from you, facing you. Just reflect for a moment on the various ways you suffer. And generate a very strong wish in your heart right now. And from this deeper motivation, also for our time together this evening, part of the bodhicitta path is I really have this wish to get enlightened, but the real purpose is to benefit all living beings. And how wonderful if I could relieve some of my suffering right now through this meditation. So imagine as you seated in your space, seated here in your space, as you inhale, imagine you're drawing in through your right nostril all the suffering from your front visualization of yourself as it leaves through the left nostril. You breathe it in and it goes right to that constricted knot of your selfishness, chipping away, diminishing and purifying it. And as we diminish it and reduce it, we have the ability to be freer and happier. So imagine as you exhale out your left nostril, you offer all the happiness, all your peace, all your bliss to the front visualization of yourself as it enters them through their right nostril. So the images of suffering that you can draw out are whatever images represent suffering to you, whether it is different colored light rays, perhaps words like war, poverty, hatred, animals that kill you, plants that are poisonous, whatever images represent suffering. And that's what we're taking in, inhaling letting it reduce our self-cherishing, that knot at our heart, and then imagine whatever images represent peace and happiness, all the goodness that we've ever experienced in this life, we offer to the front visualization of ourself. Tonglen, taking and giving. Try your best. So take a moment now to take the focus off of the front visualization of yourself and imagine seated to your sides are your family members, to your right and left, family members. Even if they passed away, you can add them to the visualization. Doing this Tonglen practice now, just focused on the family members to your side, taking their sufferings and imagine all the different ways they suffer. Small sufferings, heavier sufferings. If you want to focus on one in particular, that's fine. And again, that comes in through your right nostril, goes right to that knot of self-cherishing, diminishing, purifying, reducing that. It's the only thing it harms is your self-cherishing. And then we offer them peace, happiness, freedom. Try your best. And just leaving the family and friends there to your sides. Imagine friends and people you like in the space behind you in a semicircle. Just focus on these people right now. Doing this Tonglen practice with all of them. And leaving the friends and colleagues, people you like behind you. Let's go back to the front visualization. To one side of the front visualization of yourself, place somebody you are challenged by. Just one person you might consider enemy or just a difficult person. Just focusing on this person right now. Do this Tonglen practice with them. Taking their suffering, letting it chip away, reduce your self-cherishing, and offering them all your happiness. And leaving that person right there on the other side of the front visualization of yourself. Place a stranger, someone you might label stranger, who could be someone you know the first name, but you don't really have an opinion about them one way or another. And just focus on this stranger. Do this Tonglen practice in relation to them. So let's try it now with all the beings we've been thinking about. Front visualization of ourself, family to our sides, friends and people we like behind us, the enemy, the stranger. I know it's challenging, you just try your best. Taking their suffering, let it reduce your self-cherishing, offering them as you exhale all your happiness and peace. And if you can just add to the visualization anyone else you'd like to put in there. We could even think of our sisters and brothers in Ukraine and other conflicted places right now on the planet. People who are starving, poor, challenged with severe illnesses. And just imagine all the rest of the space filled up with beings if you can. And just try your best. Letting the mind expand, letting the heart expand, taking and giving. And even though we know there's still strife on the planet and not all of these people are freed from suffering, this definitely creates this ripple to go out from all of our places and all of us collectively to the planet. This ripple of positivity, just to have the thought, you want to relieve someone's suffering, take it on to reduce your self-cherishing and offer them your happiness. Just that thought alone is incredibly virtuous for your mind, for the planet. Incredible state of mind. But just imagine if these people were peaceful, had everything they needed to be happy. Sometimes we have to visualize the result we want to experience over and over. That's what we do in Tantra. And slowly allow these people to dissolve back into the space from where they came, leaving you here with the front visualization of yourself across from you. Let's send these wishes to yourself, that front visualization in front, thinking. And just imagine as if these wishes are coming out of your heart center, you seated here in your space. Beautiful radiant energy crossing over, melting into the heart of the front visualization of yourself, enveloping them with love and peace. Just thinking, may you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be free from suffering. May loving kindness manifest throughout your life. And slowly acknowledge that front visualization of yourself any way you'd like. And just allow them to dissolve back into the space from where they came. Just notice how your mind is feeling right now, how you're feeling. And slowly, when you're ready, Please open your eyes. Any comments about the meditation? Any questions? So I know many of you have done that before. It is a very, very profound meditation. I'm not sure we realize how profound sometimes. And if you're not able to do a lot of practice in this life, you create deeper imprints. If you just continue with Tonglen, continue to familiarize your mind with that practice. And when you're actively dying, you bring that to mind. It's an incredibly wonderful space to die in, frankly. Because that mind in its more subtle experience at the time of death has a great impact on the future rebirth. So if you can get the Tonglen, just thinking, I'm dying anyway. If you have a slow death of old age or a disease, I'm dying anyway. If I'm having any discomfort, why don't I just take on all the discomfort all over the planet of anybody? In my own discomfort, let them be released from it and let it drive into that self-cherishing. Incredibly powerful for your mind. I've also noticed, this has happened to me on occasion, you're having trouble with a difficult person and you work with them externally as best as you can. And sometimes there's nothing more that shifts. So then I've put them in front of me, Tonglen meditation. And then next time I see them, something shifted. It's amazing. Like I'm always really surprised of like, must have had some effect like that. Right? And I'm not any great practitioner. It just really has an energetic shift in general. Very, very powerful. So I want to go on to and so those are the two methods again to review: the 7-point cause and effect method to realize bodhicitta, and the exchanging self with other method to develop bodhicitta. Two main methods. The reason, again, the second one was secret is it's a little bit radical to think of taking on suffering and giving away your happiness. So I don't honestly talk to people about that method unless they're Buddhists, unless they're serious about the path, because people don't understand. They go, you Buddhists are crazy. You want to take people's suffering on? You're masochists. They don't really understand. It's about the self-cherishing thought, reducing that. You know, that they don't understand that their happiness is derived from wishing others well, you know, wanting to do for others, thinking of others. So that's why it was secret. But now we have it. Now it's been passed down to us, which is fantastic. Like that. I want to talk about the 6 perfections right now. 6 perfections. Continuing with bodhicitta. So once you have a bodhicitta motivation, which we try to cultivate, we practice the 6 perfections. Which become actually the causes for enlightenment. Sanskrit term paramita. 6 paramitas, they'll say. Paramita, which means gone beyond. Gone beyond refers to a state of mind, the state of enlightenment. You've gone beyond ordinary form. You've gone beyond suffering, like that. The goal of one's practice, okay? You're beyond samsara is one of the things you've gone beyond. You're beyond all suffering. You're beyond all the causes of suffering. Okay. So the actual 6 perfections, 6 paramitas, are attained when one is enlightened, but you train in them now. And this creates the causes for you to get enlightened. Okay, so let's look at the 6 perfections. We have giving. We have ethical conduct. patience, joyous effort, concentration, and wisdom. Okay. Concentration and wisdom we're going to talk about next week. We're going to look at these first four: giving, ethical discipline, patience, and joyous effort. Giving, generosity, okay, happens to be number one because it's from generosity and a generous attitude from which all the realizations flow. Okay. Giving, it's the wish to give, okay? You don't even need to practice it and actually give. It's you have a wish to give in your mind, okay? It's a mental attitude, wishing to give, wishing to be generous. Not so much actually that you put $1 in the cup over there for the tip. Okay, it's the opposite. It's an antidote to miserliness and greed. Okay, and Tibetan Buddhism talks about 4 types of giving. We give material things. We give money. We give food. We give clothing. We give shelter. We give people a ride. You lend people an ear. Material giving. Giving the Dharma. Number 2. Teaching the Dharma, they say, even more virtuous. Why? Because you give people a way to dismantle their delusions. Give them information they can cook to figure out and walk and move on the path according to their discipline, according to their ability. Okay. You can also, giving the Dharmas, reciting prayers for others, doing pujas for others, contributing at a center. Many ways that we contribute with the Dharma like that. Number 3, we give protection. We give protection, which is creating protection from fear. You know, sometimes just soothing somebody. It's going to be okay. We save lives. That's another type of protection. We help beings who are frightened, people who are in danger, do the best we can, giving protection. And then we give love. Number 4, we give love. Cultivating the wish for all beings to be happy, okay? And as much as you can, practicing that by helping, by looking around, who needs help right now? By, again, taking that self-cherishing attitude, trying to direct it to, like, I wonder what this person needs. Like, oh, it looks like if I drive a little more slowly, this person needs to get in. Well, sure, I can let them in. You know, like that. So giving love like that, giving the friendship, comfort. Okay. Let's look at ethics. Ethics is called moral discipline, is another word. Ethical discipline, things like that. And we have 3 ways we practice this. We refrain from negative actions of body, speech, and mind. Okay. Wanting eventually to completely abandon all negative actions, all negative activities. Okay. And we talk about 3 types of ethics that we practice. 3 types of ethics. We have an ethics of refraining from non-virtuous actions. Okay. So you learn to restrain yourself through those 10 non-virtues we talked about earlier. So I'm trying to refrain. I have to first know what non-virtuous action is. Most of us know what that is. Second, ethics. I'm practicing virtuous ethics, virtuous actions, virtuous activities, doing good for others, doing good things on the planet. Third one, working to benefit all sentient beings. Okay. So they're all related. Restraining myself, restraining my behavior, body, speech, and mind, avoiding non-virtuous actions, practicing virtuous actions, as much as I can, working to benefit all sentient beings. Ethical discipline, ethical conduct, all the same. Patience. Okay. Now, here's a definition: a calm, positive state of mind that can bear hardship or harm without getting upset. Okay, once again, a calm, positive state of mind that can bear hardship or harm without getting upset. Slightly different than the way we think about patience. A little bit different, okay? Because what we think of patience sometimes, okay, is you're in a doctor's office waiting, okay, and you're sitting there calmly, okay, but you're angry because the doctor's a half an hour late. That's not patience. Okay? It's really about bearing up under harsh circumstances with a calm, peaceful, positive state of mind. Okay. And if you want to go further with Lojong, with mind training, okay, you're actually welcoming the problem to transform and dismantle some delusion in your mind. So you're using the problem, seeing what your mind is showing you, applying antidotes that start to dismantle the delusion. Super powerful and really, really good for you. So just think about, I'd love you to think this week or for however it goes, is think about how patience works in your life. So you might be calm and you might be, waiting at a traffic light and things, but notice, is there agitation in your mind while you're waiting? That's not really patience. That's not really patience. We fool ourselves. But again, it's really the bearing up. It's not, we'll say, well, I was waiting. I waited a long time. I waited okay. But you were distracted and angry. Why is the doctor taking so long? Why is, or was I patient and bearing, and again, we don't really have a lot of harsh circumstances we're bearing up under like that. And it's really interesting when you talk about Tibetan consciousnesses. My Tibetan sisters and brothers, particularly those that escaped Tibet years ago. It's very hard to get out of Tibet now, but the ones that have escaped that I know, and some, they're living all over the planet. Some are in the monasteries, nunneries, and some are lay practitioners. And people, when you hear their stories, because they've gone through such unbearable hardship, or were tortured in Tibet, were imprisoned in Tibet, managed to get out, they don't have this mental angst that we have. We have physically easy lives, but incredible mental neuroses most of the time. A lot of Westerners, there's a constant like this and that, and I'm exhausted and I'm burnt out and I can't do this. And oh my God, they didn't have Cheerios the other day at the grocery store and I found them and they were $6 a box. I mean, really? But this is what we go through. And I'm making kind of a joke, a mundane thing, but I heard people in supermarkets, I'm sure you did as well, right? We know there's a supply chain issue right now because of the pandemic. We know there's inflation. Okay, we're all experiencing this. I don't know what it's like in Florida. We'll see, but everywhere. So you can't find certain items. You go in week after week, they don't have the item in the grocery store. I've heard people in the grocery store yelling at the people that work in the grocery store like it's their fault. I've been back here every week in the cereal aisle. Where's the such and such? Where are the Wheaties? It's going to really break them that, that this is us. So we have the mental angst. They have physical hardship. How are you dealing with it? How's your mind dealing with it? Peaceful and positive? That's what we want to strive for. That's what we want to strive for. That's really patience. Let's look additionally. Okay. We talk traditionally about 3 kinds of patience. Okay. Number 1, patience of not getting angry and retaliating. Patience of not getting angry and retaliating to harm someone. So we have that patience. Most of us are able to stop the retaliation. We don't do that. I don't think most of us do that, but we do get angry. And here's lesser degrees of anger: irritation, annoyance, frustration. So first you watch it at that level. Can you catch it there before it's a bigger experience of anger? Number 2, patience. Accepting difficulties. Accepting difficulties. This is the kind of bearing up under hardship. They sometimes literally define patience in Tibetan as forbearance. Forbearance. So accepting difficulties. How are you doing with that? Is that working pretty well? Number 3, the patience of understanding and practicing Dharma. So have I understood? And I'll just give an example here, Land of Medicine Buddha. There's challenges. Well, there's challenges at every Dharma center, I know. I've been in a lot of Dharma centers. I've lived at some. And the pandemic, they all have challenges now. So it's not unusual. This isn't anything new, So, some of the difficulties, I just work to accept. If I don't accept it, then what? What, am I just complaining to everybody all the time? That's pretty boring. That gets really tiring. And I realize in samsara, it's always going to be this way. It's always going to be this way. I accept that. Okay. It doesn't mean I'm not working to do something about it. We all are. I think at all the Dharma centers, people are amazing. All the work, those of you that have been involved in the past, those of you who are still involved, incredible. And then the patience of understanding and practicing the Dharma, well, I can see if something happens for me that I'm not happy with, well, that's a result of my karma. Past deeds I did. I can't blame anybody else, but I can be very cognizant right now, aware of what's going on to make sure I'm treading very gently, taking care of myself, taking care of others, coming from a very positive place, always trying to have a positive motivation, and definitely kindness towards all the people I'm working with. while we try to creatively figure things out like that. It's the best I can do. So I think about the Dharma constantly. And then I think that, like, tomorrow we're doing an extensive medicine Buddha puja that Rinpoche likes us to do, recommended every month. So we decided, I was really pushing, we need to practice more together. So the staff and a couple board members are going to come, and we're going to do some practice together for a couple hours tomorrow afternoon. Well, that helps. We have to do that. That's a way of being patient with the situation as well. Practice of patience. Number 4, joyous effort. Joyous effort. Taking delight in virtue. Being happy to do virtuous, positive actions and Dharma practices. So joyous effort isn't about just making effort. It's making effort in virtue. Making effort specifically in virtue. It's not kind of excited, well, we're getting the popcorn, my movie's on tonight, great. It's not like that. That's fun. You need a break, do it. Have your pizza, fantastic. Right? But it's specifically like we have the puja tomorrow and I'm looking forward to it. I'm like, great, we got to get in there. I think I'm leading the English part of it. We have Venerable Samten leads the Tibetan. There'll be extensive water bowls out that he does every day. Whoever's coming, I'm excited. We have very few people, but great. So it's things like that, like some of the work, some of the meetings that are hard and tiring, and some of the administrative stuff I'm kind of caught up in. And then I have a moment and I go, oh, this is great. It's for Land of Medicine Buddha. It's all these people could come here. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Like that. This is the opposition. This is the antidote to laziness. To laziness. And we have different kinds of laziness. Different kinds of laziness. We have the standard laziness. I don't feel, lethargy. I don't feel like doing it. Can't be bothered. Okay. But here's another laziness. We don't think of these two sometimes as laziness. Procrastination. How about that one? Some of you are grand procrastinators, I bet, right? I know some kings and queens of procrastination, right? So again, you put it off. That's a type of laziness, certainly. Okay. And then the last one I'll mention is there's a laziness of busyness. Seriously, a laziness of busyness. I have to watch that myself because I tend to be busy with a lot of different activities. But then there's a time where I'm like reorganizing another thing on my computer to make, granted, it has some benefit in the future, but I should get to my practice. I don't need to do that right now. I'm just wasting time. So look at your busyness, because I do know people that they're always busy and that becomes a kind of mantra. I'm overwhelmed, I'm exhausted, I'm so busy, I'm tired, I'm burnt out. And it's really about, if you have a positive motivation and you're really putting this into some virtuous project, some virtuous activity, it builds energy in you. That's how it should work. It should build energy in you. So something I'd love you to look at with the 6 perfections this week is, let's focus on the 4: patience, ethical discipline, generosity, ethical discipline, patience, and joyous effort. Right? I'd like you to notice, when are you practicing them? Do you do more of them than others? Do some of them you not do much? You're finding I'm really not doing that one? What are obstacles to practicing any of these perfections, any of these 4? And if you can, it's not really one of the meditations, the Tonglen meditation from this course, that you don't have a printout, but it's pretty easy to remember. Really, really powerful meditation. If you can continue to do that this week, would be really wonderful. Fantastic to do. Okay, one last thing I was going to say here. I had one more thing I wanted to with the 6 perfections, I think. Okay. Another thing about patience I mentioned is just noticing like how you put up with pain and discomfort. And I mean, chronic pain, some people are really racked with chronic pain versus little pains, little things. How does that work? Can I adjust that a little bit? We have physical pain, but we also have emotional pain. Some people are more prone with emotional pain. That's a major thing for them that they get into. The physical pain, they can bear that, but emotional pain, they're all over the place with it, kind of vomiting that all over people. So how does that work? You can look at that. Is there a way you can welcome problems? Can you look at that, not just this week, but for the rest of your life? Like, how does that work? Because that's a stretch, and that's a bigger practice of Lojong, again, mind training, where we really welcome problems, kind of more advanced stage of practice where can I see it as an opportunity? Because, I'm just picking on Jack again, but that person that you were accommodating, they're showing you your mind more than the people you like around you. They are showing you your mind. So in some ways we come through Lojong practices to cherish that person a lot because they're showing you their minds. You can't get enlightened, frankly, without those people, right? We really actually need those people. So have you had any transformation look this week of some switch where you realize the person is irritating and they're difficult, yet I'm okay, I'm welcoming that. They're really giving me some feedback or something, whether it's direct or indirect, can be quite helpful. And here's a sign of having accomplished patience, okay? In the face of everyone, in the face of even okay, so in the face of everyone on this planet who could be harming you, lying to you, stealing from you, okay, even killing you, okay, even though I hope that doesn't happen. But in the face of all those challenging people, let's say, you happily work in response to that harm for their benefit. You happily work in response to that harm. You work to transform your mind, right, for their benefit. Keeping that bodhicitta motivation. I want to get enlightened for the benefit of all living beings. You might even be, especially this person. Especially this person. That's something to think about. Now I want to just add a little bit with laziness. I mentioned there's laziness of, I just don't want to do it, not doing it. Procrastination kind of comes from that. Busyness, I mentioned. Here's another laziness. Do you catch yourself with this? Because I know people that really get down on themselves. I'm not capable. I can't do this. Okay. And you don't allow yourself, you don't try, you don't even try. And also sometimes I'm not capable, so I don't try because I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of failure. Right. Or those of you that are striving for perfection, so I'm never going to bother because we can't be perfect in samsara. So why bother? Why bother? If I can't do it like perfection the best, like God would do it, okay, I'm not going to do it. So that's a kind of laziness. So practice again, and I want to mention about all these perfections and also especially the patience, getting your mind around that difficult person, things like that. And we have to practice, like anything, we have to exercise our mind with all of these things. So a lot of the practice in this tradition is going beyond your comfort zone. Going beyond your comfort zone. That's not easy. We don't, in the West, we don't want that. We want everything comfortable, especially in the States. We want everything comfortable. It's not comfortable in samsara. Please don't get comfortable with samsara. I'd have to say to you, please don't get comfortable with it. You're cheating yourself. You cheat yourself and it will slow down your progress to enlightenment. So then it ends up that you're not really able to help all these living beings. So please think about that, the comfort zone. So interesting. I lead a lot of pilgrimage. I have in the past. We're hoping that the Lauda one will go next spring. And if you're interested, you can sign up or just show some interest and we'll let us know if you're interested. Maybe April, late April, May, we're looking to go. So people come and you're going to Nepal. The pilgrimages I've led are Nepal, India, Bhutan, like that. So this is not the United States of America, these countries. There's not a burger stand on every corner and a Starbucks on every corner, even though they do have Starbucks now, but it's different. Okay. So you go, and then there's a few people that will always be pretty tweaked by everything and very hesitant and fearful, and they don't want to try anything, and I can't do that, I don't want to do it. And some of them even said, I just want it to be comfortable. And I'm like, don't come on the pilgrimage then. They're not, it's not about being in your comfort zone. It's about stretching beyond your comfort zone. That's what practice is about. That's what practice is about. It doesn't mean that you don't set up a nice, comfortable place for you to do the practice. Fantastic. We have the ability to do that. So be comfortable. You can set up, for those of you semi-retired or retired, or you have more space, you set up different times of your day or how you want the room to be arranged, or wonderful. There's no problem with that. But are you really using the space? And then what happens when I'm outside of that space and I come in contact with somebody that's annoying me? Because that's where you test the practice. And then I try to work there in front of them, with them in front of me, which is hard. And maybe I'm not able to do it very well. Then I go back to that safe space for myself, and I do more work, and I meditate, and I study, and I apply the antidotes, and I show up at classes, and I read, and slowly, slowly we make progress. Any questions, please?
Amy, as you were talking about every little part of it, I was going between having compassion for yourself, not being taken advantage of and being walked on, and yet trying to be this patient and, doing the mind training, like you said. And it seems like it's very difficult to have that balance between taking care of yourself and doing what's best for that other person you're trying to extend yourself to.
It is. It's a delicate balance, especially when we're newer. It's a delicate balance. So this is why we practice. So what it means is, and there is a question that always comes up: as a bodhisattva, I'm going to be a doormat and everyone will take advantage of me. Bodhisattvas set healthy boundaries with people. I've seen Lama Zopa Rinpoche set very clear boundaries, that things he can't do, he won't do, when he's available. But again, coming from a broad motivation. So that's one part. And then you are straight. So you very much set clear boundaries with people if they're especially harming or disrupting or things like that. And then on the way, I've got my meditation practice where I'm trying to cultivate an attitude in my heart, let's say with Tonglen, or considering, oh, there's my self-cherishing thought. Okay, let me just not open my mouth right now and back off a little and think about what would be most beneficial for all the beings here. I like to think of something I call the one and the many, or two is more than one. Sometimes they call it, so meaning like, I've got an idea, this is what I want. But then I realize, well, there's all these other people. I'm only one. So what would really be, and a lot of times my motivation and things and decisions I make in general, decisions for my own personal life, what is the most benefit here? Meaning not just for me, not just what I want, but what's the bigger benefit for more beings? So I often think of that, of the one or the many, and I'm just one. So what would be most beneficial for all the people involved? Whether it's just your family, what's going to be the most benefit for everybody involved? And you try to figure that out. But you have different personalities in there, different opinions. So again, you slowly work on that balance, if that makes sense. And bodhisattvas, they can't really be taken advantage of because all they want is to benefit others. But clearly, if somebody is really overly abusing, I have seen high lamas be like, stop an appointment, or they're, that's all, or they finish questions and they'll say that's enough, things like that, when there's no longer a benefit like that. Anything else? Okay, let's stop there. Again, homework, please. Tonglen meditation, review the 6 perfections, and watch your self-cherishing this week. When I said what percentage of your life, of your day is spent thinking about yourself, It's in the 90s, isn't it? A lot of people, it's in the 90s, just to be honest, right? So could I just borrow 40% of that and try to think, like, I'm going to use 40% today on other beings and really try to focus on them? It's hard. It's very hard. You just try your best. It's a great exercise. So may we dedicate whatever positive energy we've created, whatever virtue we've created from this time together. And thank you so much for being here and for your practice. May we invest it and dedicate it to our being able to achieve bodhicitta, be able to really get clear with our practice, to really be practicing, so that we can get enlightened quickly to benefit all living beings, especially those most difficult to us. Be able to practice the 6 perfections. I'd also really like to dedicate to Cheryl Lamo Wagner, who has been a member of the Tupten Kunga Center in Florida for many, many years. I'm actually quite going to miss seeing her this trip. I was so hoping she might be able to hang on, and who passed away the other morning, just recently passed away. So if we can dedicate to her being free of all suffering immediately, being able to take a good rebirth to get enlightened to benefit all. And all the beings who need additional healing right now, may they be released from their suffering, and also know perfect health. And for the long lives of our precious teachers. And I'm just going to bring this dedication here that we can do together. I'm going to share my screen. I want to do the from Master Shantideva. So let me know if you can't see something, because I am going to try to make this bigger, and that's where I sometimes lose this. It may not be able to be increased. All right, let me see if I can do this. Okay, so can you still see it?
Yes.
Okay, super. So let's really send this out to the planet right now. And then Patty has an announcement. Okay. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid and those bound be freed. And may people and the powerless find power. May people think of benefiting each other. As long as space remains, as long as living beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the suffering of all living beings. And lastly, for the long life of His Holiness and Lama Zopa Rinpoche, I will just share this with you. The wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparably kind Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. For Lama Zopa Rinpoche, you who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the 3 sublime ones, Savior of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. Thank you so much. Thank you to Patty, Cecilia, Tuptenkunga Center. And I'm looking forward to being with some of you in person next week. And we'll also be on Zoom, not to worry.
Yes, so just a couple of announcements, everybody. I know a lot of us are out of town, so being in South Florida is not going to be possible. But for those of you that are local, I want you to know that Venerable Amy is taking an all-night flight, arriving next Tuesday morning to teach us that night. Please, please, if you're in the area, come in person. You create so much more merit by coming to the center and getting the teachings in person. It helps the center create merit. It helps the community create merit. It's really great to come together as a community. We'll still be here on Zoom for those of us that can't make it, but if you can come in person, that would just be so wonderful. So
fantastic. Absolutely.
So yeah, so if everybody wants to unmute and say goodbye, that would be just fine.
Please be well.
Bye.
Thank
And
you.
please pray for Lamo. Please think about her and your dedication. Some of you know her because she just passed. She was pretty integral for a long time with Tuptenkunga Center. So let's really keep her in our prayers and in our hearts. And you can read the King of Prayers for her. It's a fantastic dedication. It's a little longer, but it's really one of the best things. Medicine Buddha mantras, anything like that is really, really helpful to do with her in mind like that. Even if you haven't met her, it's okay. It's great. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you again.